Now this was a strange little game. A WoW player really wanted to play as a Murloc, but knew that Blizzard wasn't going to do that, so he decided to do it himself. Honestly, respect. Almost all graphical assets were straight taken from World of Warcraft. Player models, enemy models, NPC models, backgrounds, skill icons, and most animations. Everything is either a screenshot or a ripped model. A lot of it just looks superimposed on itself. Most of the sound effects are the same way. I think the only original asset is the combat UI. Weirdly enough, it kinda works. This man Frankenstein together a turn-based RPG. Enemies are kinda simple, but your skill set is more complex than what you would expect from something like this. If you played certain Flash games as a kid, I'm pretty sure you're going to be predisposed to play certain games as an adult. If you played Warlords, you're probably going to play Total War. If you played Feudalism, you're likely going to play Mountain Blade. Which means if you play this game, you're likely going to play World of Warcraft. This game has blood on its hands and knows the concept of sin. That's mostly a joke, I never played WoW. My parents were smart enough to keep their credit cards away from me, so my MMO experiences were all ones you could play for free, which means they were often pay to win, but I never got far enough in many of them to get to the pay to win part in the first place. I don't really remember half of them. But the ones I do remember, I still have a lingering fondness for them. It's interesting to see which ones are still kicking and which ones are buried. Listed from vague play order. Adventure Quest Worlds, still alive, the main breadwinner of Arctic Entertainment. I'm likely going to talk about them at some point. Eden Eternal, died, got a popular private server, got officially revived, but some people prefer the private server. Dragon's Nest. It's chugging along. Some of the best gameplay I've seen from an MMO. Elsword. I have no idea how this one is still alive. There are so many characters now. I vaguely remember a mobile port. Rusty Hearts. Dead. I like the characters in this one. Mabinogi is still alive. One of the survivors from Nexon's MMO days. MapleStory, still alive. I played briefly. They made a MapleStory 2. MapleStory 2 died before MapleStory 1. Wizardry Online, dead and too obscure to get a private server going. It was truly one of a kind, and I don't think anything similar to it has come out. Terra Online, dead. The most recent MMO I've ever played. The words outlasted by like 10 different anime MMOs is engraved on its tombstone. Also, these aren't really MMOs, but Realm of the Mad God, Spiral Knights, and Dead Frontier are still going. They have loyal enough fan bases to sustain their servers. Some are barely hanging on, but I can't help but cheer for them. Oh right, Murloc RPG. Game starts by the chief telling you to gather 10 pieces of wolf meat. Oh yeah, that's the genre experience right there. Fight 10 wolves, fight big wolf, fight 10 crabs, fight more wolves, boat across Florida swamp, fight one boar, go back across swamp, everyone's dead. This blue thing killed the chief and took his daughter, then seemingly just wiped out the tribe on his way out. The only ones alive are you, the fisherman, and the town mage. The mage sends you to snuff out some kobolds for a MacGuffin, and the game ends with you entering the portal. The Cold Light Oracle opens up. I never played WoW, but I did used to play Hearthstone. Most of the skills are card names that I recognize. Strangely enough, your skills seem to level up with you. If you put a point into Strike at level 6, the ability will start at rank 6. If you level up to 7, the skill will just put itself to rank 7 without any investment from you. I don't think this is how an MMO would do it, but it sure is convenient, so I'll just take it. The main quest is super short. You can blast through this in 25 minutes. This isn't all this game has to offer. Stranglethorn Vale is a whole extra area with a bunch of challenge fights. These fights are good. You actually have to think about the way you use your skills, and some abilities are crucial to win. Hope you like Polymorph and Power Word Shield. There's an arena where you can fight the classes one by one, mimicking WoW PvP. And there's Zul'Gurub, which I'm pretty sure is a raid. You fight through all of these furries before going in front of Hakar the Soulflayer. Random Warcraft lore videos would just appear in my recommendations after watching some Hearthstone videos, so I know the Soulflayer here is responsible for the Corrupted Blood incident, and the idea of a Murloc clearing this place is ridiculous and kinda funny. stock up on items for this fight, beat him, and get a cool weapon you can't really use, as the game is truly over after this point. The guys seemed to have intended this to be a series, as Murloc RPG 2 did the Half-Life thing and is called Murloc RPG 2 Episode 1. They overhauled the UI to be a lot more like WoW. It's obviously much more fitting, and there are a bunch of smaller mechanics that make this a little bit closer to an MMO. Skills are now used directly from your number bar. Instead of looting right after a fight, you walk up and search the corpse. You can find random chests for loot and buy keys for better chests, expand your inventory with bags, side quests to unlock shops, trainers to unlock skills, you can get revival sickness, and there are a lot more status effects to be thrown around. 3 classes that are actually different: a shaman, a scout, and a barbarian, a magic, a dex, and a strength build. Each play with a different resource bar. Shamans have mana and spells that use a percentage of mana to cast. The energy system from the first game is carried over onto the scout, and barbarians have a rage meter that builds up over a fight. I assume that's how warriors work in WoW. The game doesn't look as jank as before, and is setting itself up to be something beloved by a subset of WoW players. Too bad it was cut short. The game can be beaten in half an hour, which for an RPG is nothing. The trainer has skills up to level 36, but you will barely be in the 10s before this game just ends. Get to the camp, kill some boars and vultures to unlock some shops, then defend against a quill boar raid, then raid a quill boar camp yourself, and then continue on the quest by meeting this one goblin inventor, and the game ends on this face. I felt like I was just getting started. We fought one boss. Everything was clearly polished and overhauled to make this a longer running series, but the guy stopped here. Well, that's too bad. There is an arena mode after you beat the game. It seems like it would be similar to Stranglethorn of the first game, but it's all reused enemies and one frog. I guess that's it. Like the games, this is kind of short, isn't it? I wanted an excuse to talk about old MMOs anyway, so this is a good opportunity. I played like 20 of what you may playfully call off-brand MMOs. Adventure Quest Worlds, Eden Eternal, and Wizardry Online. Those 3 games I have the strongest memories with. Time is a limited currency that all humans have, and as a child, AQ Worlds routinely robbed me of it. Wizardry Online was truly one of a kind. PvP was always enabled, and the game had character permadeath. There was a wanted system and jail time. Players that have killed would glow red and have to move to a slum area or get killed by the guards. The game itself was a fairly competent— oh wait, someone did a Murloc RPG remake. It's not by the same guy. Someone from a group called Decone remembered this game existed when WoW Classic came out, and since the original dude seemed at the time to have moved on from game development, he decided to do a remake himself. Honestly, respect. The link to the itch.io and YouTube page will be in the description. The game has been imported to Unity. Ooh, that's shiny. It's a bit slower paced than the original, and the jank is still around. If anything, some of the jank was boosted. Scaling has been simplified down a bit. EXP does not show up correctly on the screen most of the time. Armor felt like it may have done nothing in the first game, but armor definitely does nothing in the remake. But this was made by like one guy who has a regular job. The level requirements for weapons were removed, and I like that. A line was added to tell you to buy dynamite for the cage troll. I don't think I would have figured that out on my own. The remake seems to make it easier to get missable content. The Hydra fight that was a 1 in 100 chance to happen has been increased to a 15 in 100. The rogue quest seems to trigger a lot easier. Although the ambush button you're supposed to use did not work for me for some reason, I did miss things as I couldn't get access to the Darkmoon Fair, and I didn't even know the Onyxia fight was in the game until looking it up afterwards. It's slower and even more jank than the original, but accessing content without the need for RNG and grinding is worth it in its own right. So that's all of it. It's clearly an unfinished saga. if you want to see it move forward, you're going to be left waiting for a bit longer. The remake guy is still doing stuff on the side of his regular job, and the original creator, Unmediocre, is thinking about making a remake himself that doesn't involve Murlocs. So I guess you can just give it some time and hope for the best. Okay, next is someone's Roman Empire.